YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Attila, and once again I'm going to be commentating the next, I think there's 4 more videos, 2 today and then 2 tomorrow. I'll be post-commentating them because I was moronic enough to turn the microphone off and forget to turn it back on. So, in any case, it's going to be another versus the Ostrogoths battle. Surprisingly though, not on the swamp. Everybody picks the Ostrogoths online. They are a solid faction pick, I can't blame people. So I have picked what I think is a much smarter army here, and I actually get to start in a very nice position on this map, Cobblestone. One player basically just gets an unfair start. I'm showing you my army here. I've got, I think, 5 or 6 scaled clubmen, which are a very nice infantry unit. Actually, I guess I decided I'm going to show you his first. He's got a whole crap ton of Thracian warriors, and the Ostrogoths, this is something they can do, basically bring a shock infantry army. He's backing it up with 5 Germanic horsemen and a general, which you'll probably see in a minute. I'll show it. Like I said, I'm commentating this after I recorded it because of my boneheaded mistake. But some of you actually said you like this, which that's fine too. So he's got 6 Thracian warriors, and I think he's got some Gothic warband and some other units for the rest of his infantry. For me, like I said, I think I've got, looks like 6 scaled clubmen, 4 Germanic bows, 6 Germanic horsemen, and then my general, of course, because I'm the Langobards, has to be a crappy German nobles. So what I'm showing you here is that I was planning on being defensive and with my infantry, and then just using my cavalry to be offensive, and using my archers to shoot the crap out of his low armor, low shield units. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to be defensive, and we'll just see how this turns out. You all have heard me say before that I don't typically recommend being defensive on Attila, because, you know, a wrong charge here or there can be a battle decider, at least in the current state of the game. I do get some very nice kills on his Thracian warriors to start off with the Germanic archers, and it's going to force my opponent to attack. You can see he's going to try and make for my flank and try and overpower flank. And here in just a moment I'm going to, I think, put it in slow motion and start showing you. So right here, I feel like I just missed an opportunity to be very aggressive. I'm showing you how I can go ahead and attack his cavalry here, and he sees it, and he would lose. And I have lancers to back up my guys as well. So he starts to pull his cavalry towards the center, and he decides, you know what, if anybody's going to YOLO here, it's going to be me. And at this point, because I was moving, he's going to get the better of me here big time, because my clubmen don't have time to brace, and they are horrible against cavalry. If they're braced, they can resist them. Now over here, I will get a beautiful lancer charge into his guys, but again, I need to be getting ready to just, I should have just YOLO'd his infantry with my cavalry and then quickly followed it up with my clubmen, and his infantry center would have disintegrated under a heavy cavalry charge with lancers and all this other stuff. And then by that point, I would have taken some cavalry losses, but I would have been able to overwhelm everything he had left. I mean, just look at that Thracian warrior unit just get flattened immediately by a lancer, and if I would have been swifter with my own Germanic cav, I could have kept him from being able to interrupt my lancers, and I basically could have wrecked through at least 2 infantry units of his own. But because of my slight indecisiveness, now my opponent is able to get into battle with me. He's killed a whole bunch of my scaled clubmen, and then over here he's been able to isolate one of my Germanic horsemen with his Gothic falxmen and his Germanic horsemen. So where I would have won that fight one-on-one, I'll now lose because he's got infantry support. So basically I just waited a little too long, and I've let my opponent kind of take the initiative, and now I'm reacting. So I'm using my archers, I'm firing into blobs, I'm doing everything I can to try and cause damage. My 2 lancer units both easily came in and destroyed a falxman, but because I'm not supporting them with infantry, they're getting mopped up by his melee units. While my clubmen are in a nice defensive position in the center, my right flank is being overwhelmed. So I'm in a desperate bid with my archers at this point to cause some serious damage. Clubmen can't kill cavalry, but as you can see, when they're braced, they will stop that cavalry charge and won't take a particularly large number of casualties. The enemy Germanic horseman gets a charge into me here because my micro is elsewhere, and again, he's going to immediately support with Gothic warband, and the charge and the attack of those guys is going to really destroy my cavalry, when otherwise they wouldn't be that good versus cav, but since my guys are pinned, it's bad. So again, I start to make some micro mistakes because I'm the one reacting, and it's not helping me. So doing what I can though to make things up with my bowmen, but as you can see, I'm losing my right over here. The enemy's taking damage, but he just had more units than me in that vicinity, so he can afford to sacrifice a few units on this vicinity, whereas I cannot. And my defensive playstyle here is not panning out for me. Again, at the center, my opponent has very vulnerable infantry, and I have more cavalry than him. And if I would have just pinned down his cavalry with my own, he would have been outnumbered, and I would have had 3 leftover cavalry plus all my infantry to destroy his infantry, while my bows picked off his general. So I once again here think that I made a critical mistake by not being aggressive. Again, though, you're going to see me try and make good on it. It's just going to be very difficult by this point. And he has a Royal Scion as general, so yeah, very, very good unit against infantry. A strong unit in general, just not particularly great against cav, but it's a strong unit. So yeah, my archers are getting a fair number of kills, and I'm getting rid of quite a bit of his cavalry, but even if all of it's gone, it's going to be very difficult for my clubmen to hold off all the remaining awesome shock infantry, and my bows are already running low on ammo. They have a decent amount of ammo, but bows just don't carry a ton of ammo in this game. So I've done well to destroy a whole bunch of his Germanic horsemen, but I should have been able to easily destroy his Germanic horsemen with my cavalry, and then again focus my archers on his infantry and his general. So the fact that I'm having to shoot his cavalry with my archers means that I haven't used my army properly in my mind. So my opponent manages to attack me uphill successfully, overloading my right flank, and you can see that now I'm having to plug the gap with my general, and my slow reaction and defensive playstyle has betrayed me here. So once again, learning a harsh lesson on Attila that I'm not necessarily saying that being aggressive wins it every time and being defensive loses you a battle, but I had a key opportunity in this battle. But because I had chosen a unit that did a little better on defense, which is the Scaled Clubman, I hesitated a little bit to make that initial engagement, when if I would have done so, I would have been better off. Now, the Scaled Clubmen do have their merits. These guys are going to get braced, which means they're going to have in total a 35 bonus versus infantry, and you're going to watch them take the charge from this Gothic Warband and then just melt them away like butter. The Gothic Warband are exhausted, so they'll get some kills on the charge, but then this fight just totally turns in the opposite direction. And my enemy clubmen take these guys to the club and dance all over their carcass. So this is to give you an idea of why I brought the Scaled Clubmen. Forcing a charge straight into braced clubmen can be very dangerous for enemy infantry. But my opponent, like I said, did a good job of moving quickly around my flank. If he does this, I can't keep my clubmen braced, and I didn't react quick enough with my cavalry. And then the working together of his high attack infantry units with his cavalry was able to overcome my more numerous and qualitatively superior cavalry. So again, my melee cav should have been focused on killing his melee cav, while my lancers and infantry worked in concert to destroy his own infantry. And if I would have hurried and caught them downhill while he was moving, there's little that he could have done to stop me. I do end up making it a somewhat close battle in the end. I wouldn't say hugely close, but somewhat close. He's still got 3 depleted units of infantry and 2 pretty healthy ones. And then he's got 1 Germanic horseman there as well. And his Royal Siona's cav has just barely survived here. It took a lot of archer fire and other stuff, but it did tank out a lot of damage. The Royal Siona's cav is pretty good. But yeah, now that my clubmen are going to get charged and they can't brace, they will get beaten down, and there's very little that can be done about it. They're a very tanky unit, and they do get a very nice bonus versus infantry as long as they're in the kind of shield wall formation or whatever they call it for them. They already get a bonus versus infantry without it, but it gets even better with it. So again, you can see a couple of my Scaled Clubmen getting respectable kills considering they're up against shock infantry, but you can see that overall not able to do it. My Lancers causing a lot of damage, even unsupported. Imagine had I actually supported them with my infantry where I could have cycled them in and out. And then imagine how many more kills my bows could have gotten had they not been focusing on his cavalry, which my cavalry could have easily killed, but rather focusing on his infantry. The Royal Sionas of the enemy getting 186 kills, very nice. And then he had several infantry units ripping up over 100 kills. And his Germanic horsemen, inferior to my own, allowed to get more kills than my horsemen for the most part. So in this case, I picked the right army, I feel like. I did not take advantage of a key moment in the battle, and it cost me the battle. So I think that, again, right now, you've got to be able to recognize those pivotal moments in a battle. Sometimes it is okay to play defensive, but a lot of times you don't want to sacrifice that initiative because a quick charge on enemy infantry can crush them. And my opponent came infantry heavy, and so he was at huge risk for being crushed by these charges, and I did not make the proper moves to do so. And then my army ended up paying for it. So hope y'all enjoyed this one. I know I did. So again, learning more. Obviously my focus in the next battle is going to be to get more aggressive, and I will have that for you tomorrow.